my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my thrift video for my books. I mentioned in my last thrift video that I was going to do this video, and I wanted to, you know, keep my promise because I know I'm not the best at that sometimes when it comes to videos, but this isn't going to be the longest haul ever, but it's just going to be kind of the books that I've thrifted recently that I haven't shared with you guys yet. And I have a lot of really good ones. Like, I found some really good books recently at the thrift store, and as you saw at the beginning of this video, that was at the Goodwill in the town over, and they just had so many good books that I wanted. And honestly, some of them were a little pricey. Like, I understand why they priced some of them fairly high. They were in good condition, they're recent releases and stuff like that. But I always find that Goodwill has a ton of good books that I want to buy. But I really had to like restrain myself because I just, like I said in the thrift video, it's like when you see something that's like a recent release and you're like, ooh, like, do I want to read that? And you start talking yourself into the fact that like you want to read it even though you've never wanted to really read that book or you never really put it on your TBR, but because it's there, you're like, oh yeah, I definitely want to read that. Like, the first book I picked up was Beartown by Fredrik Backman. This I heard really good things about. I think this is a 3-book trilogy, I'm pretty sure. And I've heard just so many good things about this book. And I've heard really good things about Fredrik Backman in general. Like, he's just a really, really, really good writer. He just writes those very like hard-hitting type of reads, I think, and he does it really well. So I'm really interested in this one. I also have A Man Called Uwe down at the bottom here somewhere that I picked up a while ago. I haven't read it yet, but I do want to try Fredrik Backman really, really bad because I just have heard such amazing things. So let me know if you guys have read Beartown and tell me what you guys think. I know Jamie's Library just read this and she absolutely loved it. So, and that's kind of what got her obsessed with Fredrik Backman's work. So I'm really excited to read this. I just need you guys to like push me to do it. You know what I mean? So the next one I found was Naomi Novik's Spinning Silver. This one's not in the best condition actually, but I actually didn't find this at a thrift store. So I have a little mini library near my house, and every once in a while there'll be some really, really good books in there that I'm actually interested in reading, and this was in that little free library. And I had this on my reading list a long time ago, and I never ended up like picking it up. Like, it was just never available to me, so I never really read it. But because it was in the little free library, I had to pick it up, and I really want to buy this. I heard it's a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and it does have like a romance in it, and I've heard it's just a phenomenal, phenomenal book. I've also heard Uprooted, also by Naomi Novik, is really good as well, but I've heard this one is a little bit better. So I don't know. If you've read both, what do you think? And did you like this book? I'm curious. So another book that I found at the thrift store is a book that I've been wanting to read for ages. And the reason why is because A, I love mermaids, and B, I love anything that takes place in like a coastal town, kind of like that gloomy coastal, you know, lighthouses, things like that. And I heard that this kind of has those vibes. So hopefully I was right about it, but it's All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace, and this is a YA novel, but it's always been on my radar. It's like one of those books that's always been on my radar. And again, I just never really got my hands on it. So I finally found it at Goodwill, and it was $2.99, so hopefully this is good. I'm crossing my fingers. I really, really want to try this out, and sometimes I'm just really in the mood for a YA. Because YAs are just so much simpler, they're easy to read. So let me know if you guys have read All the Stars and Teeth. I know this was really, really big there for a while, but then it kind of lost its traction a little bit. I haven't really heard people talking about it too much anymore, and I think that there is a second one, so it's a duology. So let me know what you guys think. Okay, so this one's really interesting. I got this at Goodwill for $4.99, and this is called My Stroke of Insight. And as you guys know, I love my little nonfictions every once in a while. And this is a brain scientist's personal journey with a stroke. So this is basically about a brain doctor or a brain scientist's experience with having a stroke and how her knowledge of the brain and things like that kind of helped her through her journey. It talks about her unique perspective on the brain and its capacity for recovery and the sense of omniscient understanding she gained from this unusual and inspiring voyage out of the abyss of a wounded brain. I just think this sounds really interesting. There's something so interesting to me. It's kind of like When Breath Becomes Air, when he had to kind of like confront his own death and him working in that field for a long time, and now he has to confront it himself. It's a similar type of scenario, and I think that this is going to be really interesting because I do find the brain extremely fascinating, and I think reading this, especially because she is a brain scientist, like I might get some really cool information, I might learn some really cool things, and I think it'll be really interesting to see her recovery journey as somebody that does know a lot about the brain. and like how it affected her knowing so much about the brain. Like, I don't know, I just think it's going to be a really interesting book to read. I have no idea where it's going to go, but I think it sounds pretty cool, and it's pretty short too, so I think this sounds really, really awesome. So the next book that I found, also in my little free library, it was with actually Spinning Silver, was The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And I think this will be fun for when I'm in the mood for like a little, you know, thriller mystery type of book. Let me know if you guys have read this and what you thought of it, because I know this was really popular there for a while, and I'm kind of curious what you guys thought. Like, did it have a good twist? Was it really interesting? I really want to know, because if a lot of you guys say this wasn't very good, I totally don't mind putting it back in the little free library and saying, I'll pass. But this is one that I picked up just because I was kind of curious about it, and I always like having thrillers on my shelf for when I'm in the mood for a thriller or like a thriller mystery or something like that. So let me know if any of you guys have read this, what you thought, and if I should read it. Okay, so the next book I found was $3.99, and it's Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I've heard so many good things about this book. Like, I've heard it's amazing. And I like that it's not too long, but I read the first chapter and I was instantly hooked. Like, you know when you just read something and you're like, this just feels up my alley? So it's about like these kids that went to this like special private school, and in this private school they were always told how special they were. Now, I don't know if this is like a magical realism, if they have like special gifts or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But when they get older and they kind of grow up and like move away from this school, they start to actually realize how special their gifts are, and I think they like go back and like revisit everything. I'm not really sure. It's something along those lines, but I've heard amazing things, so I had to buy it. So let me know if you guys read this, if you guys liked it. I'm really curious. So this next book was kind of a random one, but again, I bought this because I like having little thrillers on my shelf, and this one sounded really interesting. So this is called Lost You, and this is a novel by Helen Beck. And this again is just a little thriller mystery. So this is basically about a girl whose husband, I think, passes away or something like that, or leaves her, and she's left kind of as a single mom, and everything's kind of going wrong until she writes a novel and it ends up doing really, really well. And because of that, she decides to book like this nice vacation somewhere where her and her son can go and just kind of relax. And while she's there, her son runs onto the elevator before she can like follow him onto the elevator, and the elevator closes and her son just disappears from there. Like, she doesn't know what happened to him, and I guess like on the little cameras, like the security cameras, you see a woman take the son out of the elevator. That's pretty much all I know, but one of the reasons why I really wanted to read this is because it said in the synopsis, what follows will make you question everything you know about a parent's love. And I read a book one time called Fierce Kingdom, and it was very similar to that. It was kind of like the mama bear type of situation, and it really showed like what a mother will do for her child in, you know, a scary situation, and just the bond between a mother and a child and how like intricately woven it is. And I loved it for that reason, because it was just so spot on. And I really want to see if this book is kind of similar in the way that it shows like how close a bond is with the mother and a child and things like that. Like, I'd be really, really curious to see if it's kind of similar to that. So I'm really excited about this. I love reading books about mothers and like mama bears, and so I think that this might be kind of in that, you know, realm. So that is the other one I picked up, and this was $4.99, also at Goodwill. Okay, you guys, so this next one is super random. I've never heard about this book in my life, but when I saw this cover, I was like, there's no way I can pass that book up. It is just too pretty of a cover, and I need it in my life just because it's so gorgeous, and I'm hoping that I like it. Like, I could very much like it, but I've never actually heard of this book. Some of you guys may have, but it's called The Supernatural Enhancements by Edgar Cantero, and it looks like this. Check this out. Isn't that the most beautiful freaking cover you've ever seen? It's just gorgeous. And this, I think, is kind of like a horror thriller type of thing, and it's one of those books that takes place in a haunted house that was inherited by the main character, and they have to like go to the house and it's haunted, and apparently has like a teen little like punk girl with them that, I don't know, are they related? Maybe. But what he finds out is that the owner of this house, he was related to him. He was like a second cousin, twice removed or something like that. And he found out that he jumped out of the window, and that is how he died. And what's weird is that he died the exact same way as his own father had died. And I think he's trying to figure out the connection there. And it's like a haunted house, and it's all that kind of thing. And the interesting thing about this book too is that it's written, I think, sort of like maybe House of Leaves. Like, I think maybe he got some inspiration there because this is told in like a mixed media format. So like told vividly through journal entries, cryptic ciphers, recovered security footage, and all that kind of thing. So maybe a little bit like Illuminae or like House of Leaves, where it's all kind of like weird. And everything is just kind of written very, very strange. There's even pages, you know, where some of the font is all messed up. But I love books written in mixed media formats. It's so fun to read because it kind of is like, it's just really unique and it's fun. Like, I really, really love like mixed media formats. So love, love, love this cover. I'm so interested in this book. Like, I want to read this actually pretty soon because I'm super, super interested in it. And I've been wanting to read more horror, so I feel like this is going to fit kind of into that category. So this is another one of those books where I've wanted to read it for a really long time, but it's like just one of those situations where you never got your hands on it. Like, you want to read it, it's been on your TBR forever, but it's just never ended up in your hands. And so when I saw it at Goodwill, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I need this because I've been wanting to read it forever. And I've always loved this cover. This cover has always intrigued me like crazy, and it's always made me really want to read the book. And it is Velvet Was the Night by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and she wrote Mexican Gothic, which I still haven't read, but it's up on my shelf. But this, I just have always loved this cover. I just think it looks so pretty. She just looks like a badass. I love it. So this is about a girl who goes missing. She's like this art student, and the main character wants to figure out how this art student disappeared. And there's another person, another guy, who's actually trying to also figure out how this art student disappeared. And he's watching the main character from a distance, and he's kind of like spying on her and watching her. And I think this is kind of like a spy type of situation. And I don't know if there's like a romance involved in this. I think that there's like hitmen, agents, spies, all of that kind of thing, which I don't read books like that very often. Like, it's very maybe like Ocean's 11 or something. With like all that kind of stuff, and that's usually really not my cup of tea in like movies, but I'm interested to kind of try it out in book form. So we'll see. I'm pretty interested. Let me know if you guys have read Velvet Was the Night. I have, like I said, been wanting to read this since I saw that beautiful cover, and I finally got my hands on it, and I'm really excited to read it. That is it, you guys, for this thrift haul. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, it wasn't super, super long, but those are the books I decided to pick up. There were so many that I wanted, but like, can't buy them all, you know? So that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.